Back to Housing Complex C. So episode 3 kicks off right where the previous one left off, with everyone freaking out about the addition to the shaved ice syrup. The old people of the building blame the Middle Eastern interns. The Middle Eastern interns blame the old people. And this causes Kimmy to have a freak out and implores everyone to stop fighting and just be friends. And so, over the course of the next couple days, as August comes to a close, security is tightened up. People are asked to keep a weather eye out and help clear away some of the fish that have been left around. And one of the old ladies, who was cantankerous before, starts acting really, really nice for some strange reason. Because apparently she thinks the end of the world is happening and all the dead loved ones are going to come back, and apparently she's trying to get karma points. Meanwhile, one of the old codgers who's been doing research and investigating stuff talks with another old codger and mentions how in the 40s all this self-run security was actually a bad thing, and we all know what happened in the 40s, so you might not be wrong. Meanwhile, after days of being a shut-in, Kimmy is convinced by Yuri to maybe do some investigation, figure out what's been going on. So, they channel Nancy Drew, interview everybody who's actually really happy to talk to them, even go back to the cave slash shelter slash temple, and maybe investigate what's going on in there. But they come up with bupkis. Though eventually, when they realize that the researcher guy, who had a bit of an epiphany when talking to Slim, after he decides to leave in the middle of the night, and the researcher guy notices a rainbow, even though it's not bright enough for a rainbow. He puts two and two together and realizes the old temple trail leading up the cliffside indicates that the temple that used to be in that area is actually where Complex C now stands. And some clumps of moss that Muscles was admiring earlier, turns out those are actually sacred stones. And then he vanishes. Researcher guy. And the kids notice that researcher guy hasn't shown up all day, because they've been talking to Muscles about what he does for a living. And like I said, researcher guy never shows up. So, as they're heading home, they discover the remains of a dead chicken, just some blood and feathers, outside Kimmy's door. But then they hear a commotion down on the pavement and find some of the old codgers beating the heck out of Muscles because he apparently moved the remains of the chicken, the main body of it, away from Kimmy's door, and he tried to get past them. And while one of the codgers, whom I'll nickname Grandpa, is nice to Muscles and chases the other codgers away, Muscles admits that he found the chicken remains in front of Kimmy's door and was trying to get rid of them, and Kimmy knew about it. And one thing leads to another, and they decide to check out the cave, shelter, temple once again, and find it trashed. And they find the weird rock that a researcher guy had found earlier, which turned out to be some sort of key, which led to a small tunnel, which led to a small room that seemed to have either stalactites or tree roots coming out of the top. And painted on one of the walls is a story about how after Cthulhu went to sleep or died or something, some deep dwellers tried to use ritual sacrifice to wake him up, only to be chased away by humans. And this suddenly makes Kimmy very, very sad. So she implores Yuri to stop sort of translating the paintings. And she says a curious thing. She says she has to protect Kimmy because she's her big sister. And this triggers a flashback to the princess witnessing her friend and the other peasants getting killed. And she suggests they go back to the house. Mainly because Yuri's mom has been sick since the shaved ice incident. And before Kimmy leaves the weird room, she whispers goodbye to Yuri, as if she's already gone. Weird. Meanwhile, we finally get to meet Kimmy's mom and find out that apparently the thing Kimmy calls mom is a weird fetus in a pitcher of water, which is somehow being fed by weird plants. And that's the end of episode 3. So far, we've only seen a glimpse of the Lovecraftian horrors. And there's been no sign of any more fish, so who knows what'll happen in episode 4. Until then, this is Mr. J signing out and reminding you, sometimes you want to leave well enough alone, especially if it involves deep dwellers.